So what we're going to be talking about today is how to create an automated drip series for your firm. So the idea behind this is when someone opts into your list, whether it's a hot lead or like a top of funnel lead, like someone who opts into an ebook or a guide or whatever it is that they're opting into, right? We want to start getting our touch points out. Now, I like email marketing for a less invasive touch point. My opinion is if you have a hot lead, texting is the best way for a direct response, usually to a phone call. That's what we do for our clients. And we find that that is tremendous as far as increasing your contact rate, increasing your inbound calls. This is more of a nurturing type plan. So again, people who are opting into an ebook or people who are opting into a guide, they're not like the hottest lead on the planet. And so they may take a little bit of warming up. And so that's what something like this is used for. And the nice thing is once you set it up, it will just run in the background, and then you can come check on it. You can add to it. And so the tool that we're going to use today for this is Sendgrid. That's why it's on my screen. I like Sendgrid. Number one, it's pretty affordable. I believe I pay around, let's see, I pay around $80 a month for it, and I have like around 10,000 contacts in here. So a lot of contacts. It's actually how I email you guys. So if you're getting my emails, it's coming from Sendgrid. I use other things too, but Sendgrid is my primary platform for sending out my bulk emails. MailChimp is really, really great for deliverability. They are just very, very strict on what they allow through, and they kick you out, no questions asked, and you can't get back in. So I like MailChimp for deliverability. What I don't like about it is they're ruthless when it comes to sticking to the rules. So if you do anything that is considered spammy, or you just send too many emails or you get reported one time, like they're very unforgiving. But that's why they have such great deliverability, is they're ruthless when it comes to kicking people off their platform, because a lot of people do spam. So again, we're going to be working within Sendgrid today. And just a little background on how this process works. I'm going to show you the email component. I have other videos where I talk about landing pages and moving landing page or moving leads over to other systems using Zapier. If you guys want to see that stuff, comment in the Facebook group on the actual process of getting a lead into Sendgrid. For now, I'm just going to create the email process in Sendgrid. So how this would work normally, right? This is one of our landing pages. It's actually an opt-in to get our probate equals cash flow book, right? So when someone gets to this page off of one of my ads, when they fill this form out, they will be inputted into all of my lists. So they'll go into a CRM, they'll go into Sendgrid, they'll go into all kinds of places. So that is the first step in this process for the customer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to build the actual automation itself. And I'm going to show you the step-by-step process of this. To summarize it really quick, how it works is that person will be added to a list. Once someone gets added to that list, that is a trigger that we're going to choose inside of Sendgrid to say that because this person was added to this list, I want to run them through this automation. And then the automation itself will send an email instantly, and then I can put time delays between each email, which is what I'm going to show you today. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a list for our leads to be deposited into. So inside of Sendgrid, let me know if you guys can see this. If it's not clear, I can always zoom in. Inside of Sendgrid, you can see I have all these different lists, right? And these are our contacts. You guys are in these lists. So I have clients, I have estate planners, I have estate planners in Tampa. I have all kinds of stuff, right? But I'm just going to create a new list here, and I'm going to call it automation test, okay? And so I'm going to save this list. And now my automation test list has 0 contacts in it. You can see it's right here. And later we'll add a contact to this list, and it'll be put into the automation itself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an email to put in my automation. And I'll show you guys how to go about this, because a lot of people think that creating these emails is difficult. Sendgrid does a lot of heavy lifting for you by just using their template library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the email templates, and I'm going to go to the design editor. So I'm going to hit select here. And now we're in this design editor, right? So I can drag a module here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an image here, and I'm going to put my logo. So these are all my fun things. I'm going to choose our logo, and I'm going to insert the image. Whoops, I put my book in there. Let me get rid of that. So I'm going to drag an image over, and I'm going to put my logo. And this looks a little funky, so I'm going to mess with it a little bit. So the width is 100%. I'm going to put 25% here for the width. I'll bump it up to 40%. All right, so now that looks good. Excuse me. So now I'm going to put some text here. So I'm going to put text underneath it. Drag over. There we go. And I'm going to say, welcome to my law firm. Thank you for downloading our ebook. And then we can put whatever else we want on this email. You get the idea. So a couple rules of thumb for email so you don't get in trouble is you want to have a decent amount of text in there. You don't want to only have images because email readers will consider those spam if you only have images because they don't know what's on those images. And it's usually a sign that someone's doing something not very kosher. So have some text, have some buttons, have some links that are reputable. Don't go crazy with tons and tons of images because usually that's something that can penalize you. And there are email litmus testers out there where you can run your email through a litmus test and it'll tell you that, hey, this is a good email, or no, this is not a good email, and they end up in spam. Some other things that we could do here. So thank you for downloading our book. I'll just show you really quick. The text style, I'll make this a heading. And this is just like a text editor. So I'll use center align. I'm happy with the line height. I'm happy with the fonts. Next thing I can do is just refresh them on what they downloaded. So maybe I have an image of the book itself, like you saw. So I'll go here and I'll choose the book. Oops. Here's the book. Insert the image, and obviously this is too big, so I'm going to bump the width down a little bit. I'm going to put it to 50%. I still don't like that. I'm going to put it to 40%. And what's cool about this, right, is this will save. And then what I could do is I can preview this. So let's just preview it really quick. Give me a second, it's loading here. So this is what the preview looks like. This is desktop. And then what's very important also is how does this look on mobile? So this is what it looks like on mobile. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so let's go back to designing it. So we'll go back to editing our design. And then what we do in Sendgrid here is you can name this something. So it'll be like, welcome to the firm. And then I can put the book email. And I'll put email number 1 in our series. And then the subject line, I'll put thank you for downloading our book. And I could say book your consult today. If we want to go hard call to action. If it's a top of funnel type lead where they did download a book, maybe you don't want to go right for the money. It's like asking somebody to marry you on the first date, right? It's a little bit invasive. If you really want to go for it, and it's a practice area where it's an urgent type need. So like it's a shorter sales cycle, pretty much like, you know, divorce or something like that. If it's a shorter sales cycle, you can start to go for that consultation very soon. If it's estate planning where it's a little bit longer of a sales cycle, maybe on the 3rd or the 4th email, you start asking for calls, or at the bottom of every email, you just have a call to action to book your consult today. So that's what the subject will look like. And I'll just say, thank you for your interest as the header. So, and let me just show you one more thing. So if we were to build this out, right, let's say we wanted to have like a call to action at the bottom of our email. I can put a space down here, a little spacer, and then I can put a button right below that spacer. And in the button, what you do is you could put book your free consult today, and then you could just put the URL that you want them to go to. So this can be this could be a landing page, it could be your home page, but obviously you want it to be relevant to the advertisement, so it could be a landing page that's related to this email. All right, so that's what the email design looks like. And then what's nice about Sendgrid is they already have all this stuff down here to keep you compliant. So they have an unsubscribe, they have your company information, all that stuff, which is why these companies are nice. So I'm gonna hit save, right? I've done everything I need to do with this email. I've named it, I have a subject line, I have a pre-header text, I have some call to actions, I have a thank you. And then we would just create more emails in our series. So like, let's say we want to email them once a week for the next 8 weeks, I would need to create 8 emails. And I would name them accordingly, and then I would have different content in each one, valuable content. Remember, this is like a drip series. We want to be valuable here. We want to be helpful. It's not just shoving a consultation down their throat every 5 minutes. So an easy way to do that, just for future reference, is if you go over here and you click duplicate, it will then duplicate this email for me, and then I can work off my existing template, and now this is email number 2. So you can see here how it says design name duplicate. So I would say, instead of welcome to the firm, I would just do book email, and I would do email number 2. And the reason I would name it book email is because I know they came in off of my book funnel. So they opted into my book, and I want to continue sending them relevant information on this subject. So for instance, for us, we work with a lot of estate planners, we work with a lot of family attorneys. I want to keep my probate people separate because they get different messages than my family attorneys. So if it was your practice and you were dealing with, let's say, custody and divorce, right, you're not going to send them the same things. You're going to send them information relevant to each one. And so you want to make sure you're segmenting your list like that so you can speak to each one individually. All right, so I'm going to save this email, and this will be email number 2 in my series. I didn't change anything about it, but I could, obviously. So now let's just recap what we've done. Okay, so what we've done is we've created a list for people to be deposited into. That list is going to act as a trigger to trigger this automation. We've created our emails inside the automation, and now we're going to go actually create the automation itself. All right. And if you guys have any questions or you need me to go over anything again, just drop them in chat. This will be recorded. It'll be in the Facebook group. But if you want me to go into any more specifics, just let me know in the chat or in the Facebook group in the comments section. All right. So the next step is we're going to go over to the marketing tab and we're going to go to automations. Now, just to show you what a live one looks like, this is what one of my automations looks like. So this is my probate book. 944 of these have been delivered. 23 or 239 have been opened. I've had 36 clicks. And so these are the metrics that you want to look at from time to time. And I'll go into there to show you the individual ones. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit create automation and we're going to create a custom automation. All right, so I'm going to hit select and I'm going to name this probate book opt-in. And then it'll ask us for entry criteria. So how do we want these people to enter the list? Question came in on chat, how did we create the ebook? So our book specifically, this book was actually created through Amazon Publishing. How it works is we have an in-house content writer. So what I did is I record videos on all the content in the book, and I have a couple books that we've actually done. And then she writes it, and then we publish it to Amazon Kindle. And what's cool about that is the ebook goes live right away, so they can download it off of Kindle, and you can order these copies. These are the author copies. You can order these. I mean, it's relatively cheap, these books, depending on the pages. But like this book, for instance, it's only about 40 pages, and it's about $2.80 for an author copy. And then you can obviously mark it up on Amazon. You're not really going to make money on Amazon, honestly. This is more to actually deliver value. And then what we do is we just send them straight to Amazon so they can get it off of there. I give them the PDF and they have access to the ebook. But if you wanted to take care of the fulfillment yourself, you could order the author copies and then mail it out yourself with other things in the mail. So for instance, it could be some swag, it could be some pens, stuff to keep around the house so they see your name. But that's how we did this book, and that's probably the easiest way to do it is going through Amazon Kindle Publishing. And they have a whole process on doing it. It's relatively easy to follow. Great question. So the entry criteria into this automation is going to be when the contact is added to our list. And so the automation test list is the one that we created to trigger this automation. Now there is, when will your contacts leave this automation? Now, this is a long-term nurture sequence. You don't really want them to leave unless they leave themselves by opting out or hitting unsubscribe. And so the exit criteria here is when the contacts have received all the emails in the automation. So this automation can go for quite some time, but let's just say we were doing 8 in our series. After that 8th one, they would be gone. What we're going to do for an unsubscribe is we're going to choose their global unsubscribe option. So this is Sendgrid's unsubscribe option, and we want to keep that because that's obviously compliant. And now this is the actual building of the automation itself. So we're going to send the first email immediately. But let's just say you wanted to wait a day. You can go here to wait to send the first email, and I can choose wait 1 day. All right. For this purpose, though, I want to send it immediately, right? We want them to opt in and get the book right away or get the next steps or whatever it is they're getting, right? So we're going to hit update here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add an email. And so we're going to go to welcome to the firm, book email, email number 1. And we're going to select this, select the design editor. And now it's going to take us to our template to make sure everything is okay. And for this, we're happy with what we see. We have our subject, we have our pre-header, we have our content, we're good. And then we just have to choose the sender. And this is all stuff you do when you set up Sendgrid. For me, it's Elliot at Empirical 360. So I've chosen my sender. And now we're happy. If you want to send a test email, which I recommend you do just to make sure your links are correct, you can send a test email like this. You can go here and type in Elliot at Empirical 360. And then you'll get a test message. So you can hit send and it'll send it. And then what I typically do when I test a message is I open the email, I click the links to make sure all of my links are accurate, because sometimes when you're cloning a bunch of emails, you can clone the wrong link. And that can be, a little bit of a disaster if you're sending the wrong message out. So I definitely recommend that you test your emails. All right, so we're gonna hit save here. And once it's saved, we're gonna navigate back out. And now we have our first email here. Now, they've got their first email. So let's just say that this is a weekly newsletter or something along those lines. We're gonna hit add an email here. And instead of waiting 3 days, we're going to wait. We don't want to do hours. We'll wait 7 days. And we'll hit update. And then all we need to do is go over here to add content. And we're going to add email number 2. Select. Choose from sender. It's still me. And again, best practice here, test your email just to make sure you didn't mess anything up. This will auto save. I'll hit save again just in case. And we'll navigate back out. And so now we have email 1. 7 days later, they get email 2. All right, so this is great. Now we're going to hit save because we've done all this hard work. And for automation options, we're going to go to set live. And boom. So now our automation is live. All right, and so what we can do now is we can go over to our automations tab and see that our probate book opt-in, the one that we just created, is live. So now what do you do, right? Now that your automation is live, we want to make sure that this thing is actually functioning and actually doing something for us. So what an automation looks like when it is live, if I go in here, this is my automation. And so you can see that these are my emails that go out when someone opts into my book. And so what I like to see here is I like percentages better, is I like to see the percentages of what's happening here. Now, good email open rates are around 15 to 20% for platforms like this. If your list is really hot, like if it's a homegrown list, it could be better. I'm typically one who likes higher email open rates because I like to get better open rates. But my first open rate there is pretty solid, 34.13%. That's a pretty good open rate for a platform like this. When you send one-to-one communications, your open rates are great because they're people who know you. In platforms like this, they tend to be lower. The other thing you want to see is a good click-through rate. So like 1 to 3% is not bad. This is 9%. So I'm pretty happy with that. Unsubscribes, that's a little higher than I want it to be. So you might want to see, are you upsetting people or are you being a little too invasive? And 98% delivered. So that's great. So now it waits a day. And then my next email is a 26% open rate. So again, I'm pretty happy with that. It's above 20%. I get a 28%. I have a 2.75% click-through rate. And so you can see the click-through rates are a little bit lower than that first one because the first one is when they're actually getting the book. So once they've opted in, I send them back to the link to get the book in case they didn't get it after they opted in. So like, let's say they went to the thank you page and I said, here, you could download your book here. If they didn't do that because they just did it on a whim and they're like, I'll come back to it, and then they forgot about it, this is how they do it again. So that's why I have that there, is so they can re-opt in, or not necessarily re-opt in, but re-download the book. I want them to get the book because, again, I put a lot of effort into that. It's a lot of value. It'll help them. And eventually, hopefully, it'll lead to them working with us because they want to implement the ideas and systems in there. So that's how this thing works is as soon as they get the book, I send them an email every day. I like to say in their face, I put a 2-dayer in there, 1 day. There are people out there, the bigger email like gurus, who say you should email your list every single day, multiple times a day. And some people are afraid to do that because you feel like you're going to spam your list or you're going to get unsubscribes. But if they're unsubscribing, they're probably not going to work with you anyway. And again, a lot of people say email every single day. There are some people who say you typically make $1 off of every single contact per month. So if your list size is $100,000 or 100,000 people, you should be making $100,000 a month off of that email list. Again, I don't know how accurate that is for some people, but I've heard that many times. So this is how you create an automation. It's relatively simple. I know I ran through that pretty fast, but again, it's not super complicated. You don't have to make it insanely complex where there's trigger points and there's branches. I like to keep this stuff simple because simple, in my opinion, tends to work better. So if there's any questions in this or in the Facebook group, go ahead and ask them. I see one here. Yeah. So the Amazon publisher, right, is this. This is the KDP Amazon. So when you sign in here, I'm in the wrong account here. Give me a second. So I'll just show you what it looks like really quick. Great question. So this is our Amazon dashboard, right? So this is the probate clients equals fast cash flow. So what you do to create a book is you just go in here, create, it'll ask you a bunch of questions, and then you just upload your manuscript. And they have an app that you can put on your desktop to actually put like your Word document in there, and then it spits out the correct format for this. And then it takes, the ebook is available immediately on Kindle, and then you can also get a downloadable version of that. And then the actual paperback is available, I think, like a week later or something like that. And if you're above 75 pages in your book, you can get a hardcover. So that's how it works. And then like if I wanted to order author copies, right? So you can see I made these as cheap as they can go on Amazon. They have actual limits. So like 99 cents is as cheap as the Kindle goes. And I think 9.99 is as cheap as a paperback goes. But if I wanted to order my own copies here, I go here and I go to order author copies. And I just did this the other day actually. And if, let's say I want to order 50 of them. And then once I select my marketplace, it'll take me to Amazon and I can order them on Amazon. And like you can see here, for 50 copies, it's $182. So it's $3.65 a copy. So again, not bad for a piece of marketing collateral that positions you as the expert. So again, really, really like this stuff. Any other questions about the automation, the book, any of that stuff? If not, again, you can always comment in the Facebook group on this video. And I'll also post this on YouTube as well, so you guys can view it later and go step by step. But again, very, very effective. It's one more touch point. It's not as invasive as a phone call or a text message. So I highly recommend you do it because, again, it takes no time to set up. Maybe a little bit of content generation will take some time, but it is worth it in the long run because you're getting a continuous flow of content in these people's faces to build that relationship. So if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and sign off. And again, view the recording. If you run into any issues when you're building your automation, feel free to reach out to me or ask questions in the Facebook group. That's what it's there for. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.